The obsidian halls of the Valthoran Empire gleamed under artificial starlight, each surface polished to mirror perfection. Ferret pushed his cleaning cart through the corridors with practiced efficiency, the soft hum of his vacuum drone the only sound accompanying him through the pre-dawn hours. He had been working as a janitor on the Imperial Station for 3 years now. 3 years since humanity had been integrated into the galactic community as a developing species. Nobody noticed janitors. Not the Valthoran diplomats with their crystalline exoskeletons. Not the Curanth merchants with their forearms gesturing wildly during negotiations. And certainly not the Imperial Guard who stood like statues at every intersection. Ferret preferred it that way. He cleaned, he listened, and he kept his head down. Tonight was different. Human. A voice rang out. Sharp and commanding. Ferret froze mid-sweep, his hands tightening on the handle of his mop. He turned slowly to find himself face to face with King Azareth himself, the ruler of 300 worlds, whose decisions could reshape entire star systems. Your Majesty, Ferret stammered, dropping into an awkward bow. The king stood 7 feet tall, his silver skin rippling with bioluminescent patterns that indicated deep thought. Behind him, his advisor, Maya, a human woman who had risen impossibly high in the imperial court, watched with curious dark eyes. Walk with me, Azareth commanded, already moving down the corridor. Ferret glanced at Maya, who gave him an encouraging nod. He abandoned his cart and hurried to follow. They walked in silence for several minutes. Passing through sections of the station Ferret had only ever cleaned in the dead of night. Finally, Azareth spoke. You have worked here for 1,247 rotations. You clean the council chambers. Yes, Your Majesty, Ferret replied, unsure where this was leading. Then you have heard the debates, the arguments, the crisis we face with the Kryn Confederacy. Azareth's patterns flickered red anger. Ferret had learned. My advisors propose war. They say it is the only way to maintain our borders. To show strength. What do you think? Human. Ferret's mind raced. This had to be a test, or worse, some elaborate trap. But Maya was still following them, and something in her expression told him to answer honestly. I think, Ferret began carefully, that nobody ever asked the janitor what happened to the mess. Azareth stopped walking. His patterns shifted to blue curiosity. Ferret took a breath. Every night, I clean up after your councils. I see the shattered glasses from heated arguments, the scattered data tablets, the half-eaten meals abandoned during emergency sessions. The mess gets bigger, more chaotic. But I've learned something. You can't clean a room by making a bigger mess. You have to stop, assess, and address the root cause. You compare interstellar politics to janitorial work? There was no anger in Azareth's voice, only genuine interest. I compare problem-solving to problem-solving, Your Majesty. Ferret felt Maya's eyes on him, encouraging. The Kryn want access to the Helios trade routes. Your advisors see it as aggression. But I've cleaned the Kryn ambassador's quarters. He keeps pictures of his offspring near his workspace. He saves every message from home. He's not a warmonger, he's desperate. Azareth's patterns swirled between colors. You gleaned all this from cleaning? People forget janitors exist, Ferret said quietly. We see things. We hear things. The Kryn Confederacy is facing a famine. I've seen their private communications left on desks. They need the trade routes not for conquest, but for survival. But they can't admit weakness, and you can't appear to yield. So both sides prepare for war over something that could be solved with a negotiation. Maya stepped forward, speaking for the first time. The human is right, Your Majesty. I've been reviewing intelligence reports that support his assessment, but our advisors are too proud to suggest what might be seen as capitulation. Azareth was silent for a long moment, his patterns cycling through the entire spectrum. Finally, they settled on gold resolution. Human janitor, he said. What is your name? Ferret, Your Majesty. Ferret. You have done something my council of brilliant minds could not. You have shown me the simple truth hidden beneath complexity. Azareth turned to Maya. Draft a proposal. Humanitarian aid to the Kryn in exchange for a cultural exchange program and limited trade route access. Frame it as an act of imperial generosity, not weakness. Maya bowed. It will be done. Azareth looked back at Ferret. You will attend tomorrow's council meeting, not as a janitor, but as an advisor. Your Majesty, I'm not qualified. You are the most qualified person on this station, Azareth interrupted. You see what others ignore. You listen when others speak, and you understand that the biggest problems often have the simplest solutions. His pattern softened to a warm amber. Humanity is young in the galactic community. You are underestimated. But perhaps that is your greatest advantage. As Azareth swept away with his guards, Maya lingered behind. She smiled at Ferret, her expression a mix of pride and amusement. Welcome to the deep end, she said. Hope you're ready to clean up a different kind of mess. Ferret looked back at his abandoned cleaning cart in the distance, then at the council chambers ahead. I've been preparing for this without knowing it. That's the human way, Maya said. We adapt, we observe, we survive. And sometimes, when nobody's watching, we change the galaxy, one quiet insight at a time. The next morning, when the council convened, there was a new face among the advisors. The janitor, who had cleaned in silence, now sat at the table where decisions were made. And in the weeks that followed, when the Valthoran Empire and the Kryn Confederacy signed a historic peace accord, historians would debate which brilliant diplomatic mind had orchestrated such a masterful resolution. But Ferret knew the truth. Sometimes, the most powerful wisdom comes not from those who rule, but from those who simply pay attention while everyone else is too important to notice. The human janitor had cleaned more than floors. He had cleaned away the illusions that prevented peace, and the galaxy would never look at humanity or its janitors the same way again.